Right, welcome back to series about Rugby League. We're going to have a discussion now about something that's been doing the rounds on social media. I think there's quite a lot of controversy about this. A few weeks ago, we had the rep round for the internationals, and Great Britain coach Wayne Bennett was over here. I think he's come out with a few comments about the players that he'd like to pick for his side. Doesn't seem that he has any problems with picking players that aren't traditionally British to go over for the GB tour. There was a press conference in St Helens was going on about the heritage players like Sir Blake Austin, Lachlan Coote, Jackson Hastings, Campbell Graham. What do you think about this, Jack? Do you think this is controversial, or are you happy for these guys to play for the GB?
If their intentions are correct, then I have no issue with it. At the end of the day, we want a competitive squad. We want a GB squad that's full of quality. It's the strongest it can be. And for me, including these three, if we talk 3 or 4, Austin, Coote, Hastings especially, they'll make that squad better. I think we've all seen the impact that all three have had on the Super League, without a doubt. And so I think if we're realistically wanting to build the strongest GB squad we can, then those three have to be in it for me.
Right, so Sean, I'll move on to you. This is what Bennett actually said. He said, I'll pick the best team possible. If they are eligible and they want to play it, they will tell me. But I'm not asking anymore because I know what we've got. Blake seems to be enjoying his footy and Lachlan has been outstanding. Anyone who's eligible and wants to come, they will be part of the mix. Are you happy with that?
Personally, no. It's going to look really bad because I'm wearing an England shirt. We need to play GB play. Personally, no, I'm not happy with it. Not in a case of... I don't want these players playing at all. I think, for myself, if you're only going to commit yourself to a national team 6 months before one of the biggest series and like the welcome back of the Great Britain team, then that's not the point. Like the point is to work hard for your nation and to earn the GB Lions shirt. Then that's whether you're playing for Ireland, Wales, Scotland or England. You earn your shirt by playing international rugby for your nation. And Blake Austin and Jackson Hastings and Campbell Graham, none of them have ever made any intention of playing for a home nation. They just made their intentions clear of playing for GB once the announcement came out. It's slightly different for Lachlan Coote because Lachlan Coote obviously played back when he was winning the NRL with North Queensland Cowboys, was playing for Scotland, and he's played a number of tests for Scotland. So with Lachlan Coote, it's a slightly different scenario because he wanted to play for Scotland despite the fact that he was still eligible to play for Australia and was playing in the NRL. So he deserves his shit for me because he's worked hard. He's played the Four Nations where they got the famous result against New Zealand, and he worked really hard in the World Cup for them as well. So I can't look past not picking Lachlan Coote. It'd be unfair to dismiss him. But I feel for Hastings and Austin and Campbell Graham, at this point they just don't, until they go and play for a home nation, they don't deserve to be picked.
I think you've got to look at the players go through different phases in their career and are part of different. The thing is, it happened before. We've had Maury Fasavalu of Saints played for England, Rangi Chase as well. We've seen it happen before, and players go through phases in their career where they will have these intentions of playing for England, for example, or GB. I think that the example I found before, I know me and Sean discussed it off camera. Before we came on to this debate was that probably the most praised nation in the past few years on the back of their sort of, I say recruitment drive like they're a club team, but the players they managed to get playing for them is Tonga. They've got Jason Taumalolo, Andrew Fafita, Manu Vatuvai played for them at one point as well. They've managed to recruit a lot of high profile players. Now, you look at the backgrounds of these players, and while I know a lot of the Polynesian players tend to have a lot of different heritage and different roots and stuff, but you look at the Tonga squad in the last World Cup, only 4 of their players out of that 24-man squad were from Tonga, were born in Tonga, and that was Conrad Hurrell, Akuma Tai, Solomon A. Carter, and Sam Moa. So that's 4 players out of 24, and for me, that sort of sums it up in terms of the fact that we're praising Tonga, and Samoa do the same as well. As I think Fiji are a bit different. They've got a lot of Fijian-born players, but I know Tonga and Samoa in particular take a lot of heritage players who were born in New Zealand or Australia but have strong Tongan or Samoan roots, and For me, countries like that get praised for the strength of their squads, but yet when England do it, it's seen as a negative thing.
I think there's two things there. One, you need to, for me, you need to separate an international game and then a GB game.
I was going to ask that,
because GB isn't, it's not a country playing an international game. It's a mixture and a celebration of 4 different countries coming together to create one team to play in special occasions. So I don't disagree that players can make themselves eligible for England and should make themselves eligible for England if that's what they want to do. If that's the career path that they want to take, that's fine. That's completely fine. I prefer it when they play in Super League rather than just committing from the NRL and we don't see them at all and then they come and play for England. I think it's a bit better when they've been in front of English crowds and we've got used to watching them and then they make themselves available for England.
Well, that's what Hastings and Austin's have done.
But I don't disagree with that. I feel like that's fine. And in terms of Tonga, you've got to argue a lot. Yeah, a lot of those players that were born in New Zealand that were in the Tongan squad were born and brought up in Tongan communities within New Zealand. It wasn't just a fact of when you were from New Zealand. A lot of the heritage and the way the communities work in New Zealand is that they were being brought up in a Tongan community that probably was very similar. They'd have been brought up Tongan rather than brought up as New Zealand, or brought up as both, rather than just brought up as a Kiwi. So, which is a bit different than you get in this country. You don't really get that sort of like, you're English and you're Australian. You're either English or you're Australian.
I think the point I'm making though is the fact that you look at on balance the away from sort of the background and the upbringing. The end of the day is that they're eligible to play through heritage. That's the point I'm making. It's not so much to do with how they've been brought up, but rather how they're eligible for a certain team. That's sort of the debate I think is being brought up with how much furor has been raised.
Self-identification is so important, and if you believe that you would benefit more and feel more pride for yourself playing for England than you would for Australia, then you should make yourself eligible. If you are eligible through heritage, you should make yourself eligible. You know that even in England, when you have parents from 2 different parts of the country, you feel a pride for both those places, and you can have pride for both those. And if they want to play for England, play for England. But I still feel that you should have to play for a home nation, and commit yourself to a home nation before you get the reward of representing a combined team that represents the home nations on many different fronts. I think you've got players that are playing it in the Wales and Scotland teams that won't get a look in here because people have made themselves eligible for GP having not played a game for any of the home nations. And like I said, I think Lachlan Coote's the exception because he has made himself available.
So is Campbell Graham. Campbell Graham's played for Scotland, but I get the point.
That he's played, he's worked hard, and deserves his chance because it's not so much. Obviously, you've got to base it on form in the league as well, but he's getting the reward of playing for GB because he performed for Scotland. Not so much. You can't look at it just solely on he should play for GB because he's playing well in Super League. He should play for GB because he's played well for the nation.
Well, to be fair, this raises another point then, I guess, in that should we now? Obviously, we're not going to have one this year by the look of things, but should we have a mid-season test?
I think if we've done a mid-season test,
perhaps give players like Hastings and Austin the chance to prove themselves.
At that point, they were made eligible for England, and they played for England because obviously that means they can't play for New Zealand or Australia. At that point, they're committed to England, so they are GB players and they're completely open to that selection. I think until that point, you can't. It's a bit unfair to people that have.
For me, I sort of am on the same page in that I get the point you're making, but I think if. I think at the soul of all of this is the intentions and the pride of the players. Are they literally trying to? Are they wanting to play for England just to sort of up their own standing? To say, I'm an international standard player.
Get a better contract.
Exactly.
You've got international caps.
Or have they actually got intentions of I'm proud to have English roots and British roots and to represent. Either GB or England. It's
also an interesting one because I don't know how GB work. Do they work as tier 1 nation and then is that it? Then you can't play for anyone else,
I imagine it's seen as a bit of a one-off side. I mean, look at the rugby league, not rugby league, the rugby union, the British Irish Lions every 4 years.
This has got to follow that scenario for me. I was going to go on to that. You're saying about moving on to maybe players that have retired from international rugby, or I would say to play for, if you're going to play for England this summer, if England were playing this summer, you'd have to make yourself available for the 2021 World Cup. Or I don't see the point in playing. Anyone playing now for England. But does this count for that? I mean, some guys that they could be retiring at the end of the season. Is this a standalone test where they say, well, yeah, that's cool. It's just a standalone tour. If they want to play, they can go. They don't have to make themselves available to play.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Are you happy with that, or would you want players to carry on?
If they're going to play for GB and they're going to get selected, I feel like they have to. That should be same as a tier 1, and they should be committed to a home nation. Then it doesn't matter which one, but you have to be committed to a home nation.
So it shouldn't really be treated as a.
It's treated as a special.
Yeah, it shouldn't be treated as just another England test, another sort of English test game with Wayne Bennett as coach, where he can throw in a couple of young players, see how they fare for the future. It should be seen as It should be seen as
a proper test, where it's a celebration of the home nations, rather than just.
But like I say, for me, I think the players don't necessarily have to be. They don't have to commit themselves to international rugby. That this is a standalone tour. That is for it's to celebrate, basically to celebrate the game, not to say England are better. This is literally just a standalone tour, and anyone that wants to play can play. So, do you think we actually need these heritage players playing for us?
I don't think we need them at all.
I do.
I think our squad's good enough as it is.
Yeah.
I think the one area we've always struggled with, especially against the Aussies and the New Zealanders, is halfbacks. I think we look at.
We've got Gareth Widdop.
We have got Widdop. I agree with that. Widdop's the one, but I think we've struggled to partner him, and especially when we've used Widdop at fullback as well. I think you bring these three in. You look at. I think it offers good competition. I think Widdop still gets in the squad ahead of those three, off the fact that he's actually English alone.
I think fit for this one, will he not?
No, I don't think
so.
No,
not fit then. But if he was, then I think
we had a test
anyway,
series against New Zealand without Gareth Widdop, and we won comfortably in two of those games. Well, we won comfortably overall.
Yeah.
And one of those games was quite a comfortable result, and it's like
it was. I think by the same token, I don't think the New Zealand squad is at its strongest there either, especially in the halves. Neither was ours. But if we're looking at the strongest squads, I think Austin, Coote, and Hastings in there gives us a lot more pedigree than say. I don't know, Ratchford, Lomax and Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly then, basically, if we're going to consider GB heritage players, which ones would you put in?
The ones that have played for home nations previously, the ones that have got caps. Anybody that's got a cap for a home nation or was born in a home nation.
So looking at Coote and maybe Graham as well. Yeah. Right, yourself.
All of them. I'd happily have all four in there. But I think the one thing that needed to be tested is if their intentions are correct, and to be fair, we can only really take their word for that and see how they act when they're on the field and when they're off the field, I guess, as representing GB in England as players.
Yeah, there you go. That's what the guys think. We'd love to hear what you think as well. If you leave something in the comments, and don't forget, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will get all these videos that we do sent straight to your inbox. Have a good day and keep it Rugby League.